Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me today for Daily Art Adventure number 492, coming up on number 500. I'm going to get one of those clappers. Daily Art Adventure 492. Until then, that'll have to do. Uh, Thanks for joining me. And I can barely see you guys because of backlighting here. So let me make sure that I'm pointed in the right direction. There we go. Okay. So, as I say in the title there, Final Glazes. I don't always get to do one of my paintings because, of course, some of my paintings, live event paintings, I do them, they're sold, they're gone right there on the spot. But I'm always, even though I love the idea of finishing a painting, in one day, I'm always tickled to be able to do this final layer. And not all my paintings need the final layer, but I love doing this because of the magic that it creates. Okay, a little bit of technology here, and let me turn you guys around because I think you're seeing a mirror image. Now you see why I got so much backlight. Okay, so I'm using Liquin. Can you read that? Liquin Original. Good enough. There's outside my window. When my wife went searching for a house for us 11 years ago, she looked for two things: a master bedroom on the main floor and a studio on the main floor. But in addition to that, because I've been an illustrator for 30, 40 years, I also have a upstairs office studio. So today I'm upstairs in my office studio because I have 4 grandchildren running around the house. Okay, back to glaze. So I'm using Liquin, and I like this painting quite a bit, and I don't know how much of this is translating through the video, but I guess the word I would use, it's a little bit chalky, almost just, and the highlights frankly, this is one of my favorite renderings of a bride and groom. I feel like as far on the abstract end of the spectrum, because I just nailed them. Didn't use any grid, anything. So now I'm just showing off. Forgive me, but I really, really like this bride and groom. Let me zoom in here for a second so you can see them a little bit better. Very loosely rendered, nice and loose, and yet accurate. So that to me is an ideal. Okay, let's just start glazing. So I'm using my chip brushes, cheap chip brushes, my favorite brush in the whole world. It's also the cheapest brush in the whole world. That's a lucky break, isn't it? And I'm dipping my brushes now in oxide red again. So this is one of my favorite brands of paint is Charvan. And again, let me try to get you. I just want to show you. It's a small container of oxide red. Again, don't be confused by the name. Just because it's called red, it's not red, it's brown. Yellow ochre is not yellow, it's ochre. Naples yellow is not yellow, it's in the brown category. Okay, so where to start? Anyway, by the way, when I'm painting live in front of when I do the first oil glaze, I do something very much like this, and I love hearing people gasp. Because at first, it looks like I'm just ruining this painting that they've been watching develop all evening. And oh, that's kind of fun. Sorry, a little devious art humor there. Okay, now there's some things that I know that you don't necessarily know yet, unless you follow me and you've seen me do this. One of the next things I'm going to do after this glaze is lift off with a rag. Okay, so you don't have to panic and worry and say, well, wait, you just covered over that cool window. Cool colored. I don't mean it's groovy cool. I mean you just covered over that beautiful little bit of cool color coming through those windows. And now it's, yeah. Okay, so hang on. This is not the last word. I don't always, but today right now I'm going to do the entire canvas with oxide red. That I don't always do that. I do sometimes. And then I'm going to come back, wipe stuff off, and do little, I'll call it spot glazes. Little bits of color anywhere I want. Little bits here and there and here and there. But today I'm starting, I just feel like the entire canvas can stand to have, to be warmed up a little bit and darkened a little bit. So there you go, warm and dark, bingo. Oxide red. By the way, if you don't have oxide red, a burnt sienna is a close second. More of you are familiar, I would think burnt sienna is a maybe more common traditional color. And by the way, if you follow me, you know that I use these Jumbo Jet Black pencils by Jerry's Autorama. It's drier than a grease pencil, but greasier than a Conti crayon. Definitely greasier than a charcoal. It's a wax-based or oil-based pencil. And one of the nice things about it is that, at least up to this point, I have never discovered the glaze lifting the pencil. Now, I don't know why that is. It seems to me, maybe it's happening and it's just so subtle I can't see it, but just some good news there for those of you who want to try using pencils. I'm doing brushing quite a bit, as you can see, quite vigorously on top of some pencil that was done very late in the process, and I can't discern any bleed at all. It might be happening, but I just can't see it. So that's good news. If I can't see it, that's good enough. Okay, so I have just glazed the entire canvas, and guess what? The painting's already better. It's warmed up a little bit and it's darkened up a little bit, and both of those are good things. Dark in this case for this painting. Now, if possible, try to have some cotton rags around to paint with. They're better than a paper towel. Paper towel leaves lint. So very carefully here, I'm going to lift out areas that I want lighter. Ooh, that's nice. And as I said a minute ago, I'm going to lift out this window and the glow that's coming from the window. Okay, this bluish light that's coming down here. Likewise, this window. I did this painting started this painting on this past Sunday in Chapel Hill. For those of you who know Chapel Hill, this is at top of the hill restaurant and event center. I'm looking, anything else that I want lighter. And you can tell that, you know, I'm not rubbing it all off. If I want more off, I rub harder and rub longer. If I want less off, I just rub more gently. Yeah. So already just adding a little accent glow to this bride, her dress. So I'm not wiping off much down here, tiny bit. But her dress goes progressively from light to dark. Very nice, and very nice effect. A little bit more out of this window. A bit more glow out here. And I think this is probably, let me pick you up a minute and jerk you around. So hang on. So to see some of this up close. This is not what I want you. Not my face. Let's turn this camera around. There we go. Okay, there. Do you see where I did these lights suspended? Bit of impasto there. Thick paint, right? And I want you to see the effect that this glaze has. I'm looking around here for a rag, turning around, not paying attention to what's on the screen. And I'm going to wipe off pretty, sorry, again, jerking you all over the place. Okay, there we go. So just lifting out little areas. But I want you to see, because I think you can see this, that the oxide red paint, okay, my YouTube quit on me. I want you to see, you can still see little bits of the oxide red in the cracks. And that, I believe, is a very nice effect. It makes it, I don't know, it just looks cool, in my opinion. It accentuates the impasto, the little bits of thick paint. So I wanted you to see that up close. I'm coming in here now and with surgical precision. If I ever have a surgeon who operates on me with this kind of precision, I'm going to find a new surgeon. Not quite surgical precision. Lifting out. Okay, so stage 1 is essentially finished. I have done, and the painting looks, I think, noticeably better already. Now, do I want to come in and modify anything at all? And I think that I do. I'm going to put down this larger brush, pick up 2 smaller chip brushes so I can, again, with surgical precision, I think, believe it or not, I want this slightly darker behind the brow. Now, I had it light because earlier I was thinking of, like, you know, soft edge and light bouncing, so to speak, off her dress, but it's not working. I want this dark to come in close so that I achieve a higher degree of contrast right there. And again, that kind of subtle tweaking is so easy to do when you use glazes. I hope, if you're an oil painter or acrylic painter, either one, I hope that you are getting used to the idea of anytime you want to darken a part of a finished painting, you do it with glazes. You don't want to come in here and start throwing opaque paint around and, you know, undoing all of your hard work. When you do a glaze, I'm not taking anything off the canvas. No, that's the wrong way to put it. I'm not covering up any of my earlier hard work, okay? Because you can see through what I'm putting down right now. You can see perfectly. Okay, so there, that's a little better. Let me stand back and, whoops, let me stand back and look at that. Yep, I can do even a little bit more. And by the way, the colors that I'm using right now are oxide red, a student grade raw umber, which I've told you is a recent happy discovery for me. Raw umber is, for me, the perfect color killer paint. I use it anytime I just want a darkness, but I want to push back chroma, push back intensity, push back the brightness of a color. And the fact that it's a student grade makes it so I don't have to be extremely careful when I use it, because it doesn't have a, yeah, that is much better. Now, having done that, I now see that I want some of that same darkness coming over onto this side of Aaron's face. This is a very sweet wedding and reception. I enjoyed it very much. I enjoy wedding painting, partly because you're seeing families at some of their most special, but even intimate in a way. It's very, very special to be allowed into people's lives at this really intimate moment of their lives. Very, very special. Everyone is so different. Okay. Yahoo, I am liking this. So I have this was part of what was lacking in the painting before I started this, is it was a little bit too flat. Now I've pushed this back and the bride is really coming forward more. And even the distinction that this up here is ceiling at a slant, angled ceiling, right? And this is wall. That's with this dark, with these dark details, it's becoming a little more obvious, a little more contrast between the wall and the ceiling, which is helping clarify the image in our minds. Like, oh, I see what's going on. Oh, I'm happy with that. We still running? Yeah, we are. Now, just a little bit more. I want this corner, even though it's already vignetted to a significant degree, I want to vignette it. I'm turning the word vignette, the noun, into a verb, right? To vignette something. I'm not sure it is a verb, but I take it you know what I mean. I'm darkening this corner, and it just turns out that in combination with oxide red, which is an orange-ish brown, purple, dioxazine violet is like the perfect counter to that for just darkening, straight up darkening. You get a lovely, rich. I don't think the viewer's eye looks at this and says, "Ooh, purple." An artist's eye might look at it and say, "Oh, he used a violet to do that. That's darker. That's better." How about this corner? Do a little bit, see if I like it. Yeah, on this side, this figure here. Yeah. Oh, so you hear me. In the throes of ecstasy, I am. For such, as you can see, for such a little bit of work, such a tiny bit of work to get so much improvement in a painting is just delightful. Just delightful. Same thing up here. Again, I'm vignetting, that is darkening the corners just a little bit more. Vignette. A vignette is, you know that word. It's become quite common now. I think most people, if you have a smartphone and you have a camera, and if you ever edit your photographs in your camera, one of the functions, one of the options that your phone gives you is, do you want to add a vignette to that photograph? So I'm hoping most people know what that means. It used to be rather obscure terminology. Now I think it's quite common terminology, I think. Anyways, and it's one of those things that, no, it's often a good idea. It's not a hard and fast rule. Every rule can be broken. No, not every painting should be vignetted. Not every painting should have dark corners, but many of them should. I would say about 80% of my paintings do, in fact, go dark in the corners. There. We just bring the top of that table out a little bit. Now, I thought I might do some color in here. Red is often, in fact, permanent rose. But I am not seeing, I don't think other than perhaps right on this figure, but that would just hardly even be considered a glaze if I come in and, yeah, there, good enough. You probably can't even see that I just reddened that figure, that dress. Okay, I think I'm done with the glazes. Now, having had the opportunity to stare at this painting for a couple of days. One day since I worked on it yesterday. One day since then. There are a couple things. So I'm going to lift a little bit off this cake. A little brighter at the top of the cake. There are a couple things that I need to modify. One is, at one point I had reflection from this window on the floor, and I really liked how that looked. And somehow in the course of finishing the painting, I lost that. And I think I want to add a tiny bit of that. The other thing is, this couple, their feet, it runs into darkness, and it almost looks like they come down too far, which totally messes up the perspective. They need to be back far away. So I need to do a tiny bit of lightness at the bottom of their feet so they don't look like they're coming down too far on the floor, which would completely ruin the perspective. I'm stretching the perspective already as it is, about as much as I dare. Okay, I think that's all right. I don't want a lot of attention at their feet, so I don't want a lot of energy down there. But I had to shorten them, make sure they don't come down too far. Okay, then let's look at the reflection from the window. I want to keep it quite subtle. I don't want any loud, crazy thing happening this late in the process. People like to see reflections in paintings. It's odd, funny that you can make such a sort of bodacious, abstract statement. People like reflections. There, I could leave it like that. People like reflections. It's funny that that's true. It tickles me that it's true, but it is so true. People like reflections of almost any kind. That's part of the reason why we like paintings with water in them, because we like the reflection. It's like, I do a lot of cityscapes, of course, and you can almost always make a cityscape more sexy by making it rain and putting reflection on the street. There, that's probably enough. We human beings, we don't like to get caught in the rain, but we do like to see other people caught in the rain. When we get caught in the rain, it's fuss and bother. But we love seeing paintings, you know, those old Paris street scenes of wet streets. We like seeing other people caught in the rain. Okay, I think I might be done. Yeah, always stop. Okay, I'm gonna declare that the painting finished. Now, before we go, however, I do want to take a minute, especially for those of you who perhaps watched yesterday's broadcast. I was working on the same painting yesterday, right? And I called it something like initial abstract versus final edit, or final edit versus initial abstract. I don't know which. I'd have to look it up. But I was talking quite a bit yesterday about the yellow, green, greenish blue marks. You could almost say violent marks, strong marks that I put on the canvas, and you can watch me do this. I videotaped this part on Sunday. These wild and crazy, but happy feeling, nice marks, bold marks underneath the painting, and they're green and primarily in blue, and one bright yellow. Why are they green? Because I knew this paint completely yellow, orange, brown. So that's why I did the opposite of that color-wise. And yesterday I was talking about how thankful I was that I knew I was going to be. I was thankful that I put those down initially, because that gives me interest in these large areas of the painting that would otherwise be quite boring. And it is in the final edit stage where I decide how much of that underpainting to show through. I'm going to pick you up again and show you then my final decision where I've ended up. So like this mark right there, completely abstract mark. It doesn't reflect, it's a real object. It looks like it could be, it looks like it could be, well, there must have been a wire, there must have been something hanging from the ceiling there. That's, your eye kind of makes excuses for things like that. There are two of them, right? One there and one there. But in fact, there was no wire hanging from the ceiling, and it doesn't matter that there wasn't. Just those two lines pleasantly break up this space. Let's go up here. So again, there's these lines here. There was a big wide swath of blue-green underneath the painting up here. I covered up much of it, just allowing little bits of it to show through. And likewise, all of this dark stuff here, that was all underpainting. And I guess I'm partly just making an excuse. Same thing, you could see it everywhere down here. I'm trying to explain why, because I confess this is a crazy way to paint. I've never seen anybody else paint this way. Way down here in the bottom corner, these marks right here, that is all. See, again, that blue-green. I've never seen anybody else paint that way. Doesn't mean there isn't. I've just never seen it. Even, I'm assuming you can see this right here, a real subtle drip of wet paint coming down, and likewise there. Now, again, that will drive a realist, somebody who, forgive me, who's stuck in their judging adult mind, somebody who says, no, the only value in a painting is realism. They're going to hate this stuff. But most people, I think, are not in that situation. They won't hate it. Let me see. Several of you have left comments. Let's go back. Hello, Chill Frost. Thank you. Hello, Garita Gaines. Thank you. Why I didn't like Chill Frost? Why I didn't like painting? That's an understandable statement. Okay, now I knew I was going to show that to you, and I thought, well, before we finish this episode, since I'm talking about those initial abstract, violent, I think that's the first time I've used that word. Those initial violent abstract marks that I do on a bare canvas at the very beginning. Let me show you another painting, another wedding painting that is, I think, completely finished. I want to show you how those marks on another painting, how those marks show through. Okay, so this is a painting that I did about 2 weeks ago of our dear friend Joshua and his bride Bailey. Okay, nice painting. This, I consider this one of my, what is called a signature series. It's a vertical format. It's a portrait. It's more of a portrait than my other wedding paintings. In other words, I spend more time. It's a more finished portrait. I'm quite happy with that. With that rendering. But what I want to show you here is the abstract underpainting. And one mark that I made on this canvas in particular has really ended up showing through quite a bit. And it was a big red. So again, and you can watch me do this painting about 2 weeks ago. I forget what number it was. But again, I throw down a violent, happy, that sounds counter, doesn't it? Violent but happy. Violent but happy, energetic, abstract marks. And in this case, I put down red because I had a sense, it turns out I was correct, that there would be a lot of blue and green. This is actually quite a cool painting. I would say this is a cool painting primarily with warm highlights. So because it was cool, my underpainting was, my wild and violent abstract underpainting was warm. In fact, red. And I did one curve of red paint, particularly quite heavy. It started up here, went like this, down here, like that. Oh, all the way down here, all the way down here, and then another red swath like this. And I want to point out that we can still see it. I want to get you some details. Okay, so way up here in the tree, this is, do you see this little bit of red there, and there? Actually, right there also, red, 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 and purple. And then it disappears because I edited it out. I put that opaque blue on top of it in the final edit. So it disappears, but then it comes again, shows again right there, and there, there, and then it disappears here. I know it goes down here. Now, to tell you the truth, I was a little bit disappointed. I overdid it in the tree. I should have allowed more of the red to show through. You can barely see it right here. In fact, that edge right there, do you see that little edge? That's part of that same red. Let's go back. So I did one red arc. Get it? And that's a part of the same edge. And then you see bits of it there and there. Now here, that red right there was one of the last marks I made on the canvas. That's, again, that playing around with our eyes enjoy being fooled by what's on top of what. So there was a lot of red. Now down here, all of a sudden, that red stroke becomes very apparent. I mean, I didn't cover it up at all. And again, that's a point at which a super realistic person would say, well, it's supposed to be, say people wearing red. You know what I mean? I've got that nasty voice going in my head. No, it's not supposed to be anything. All it is abstract marks that look cool. I have 4 grandchildren that live in my house right now. Love it, love it. And they say, Bigga, they call me Bigga. Why'd you do that? When they're watching, why'd you do that? And I have discovered that the same answer, I use the same answer because I think it looks cool. Why did I let that red show through? Because I think it looks cool. And then there's another red mark that goes through here like that. And you can see that, right? Oh, and at the end of this big arch, you can see it again right down here, and you can barely see it through this translucent paint right here. Now, the only thing is I wish I had allowed more of it to show up here in the foliage of the tree. I covered up a little bit too much, but it's okay. It's okay. You can see little bits of it peeking. I don't know how I stumbled on this. Honestly, I don't. I have no idea why. How did I discover this is a good idea? I have no idea. I don't remember the first time I did it, but more and more and more, I'm getting appreciative, thankful, like, whew, man, I'm glad I discovered this. Now, and I don't expect non-artists to look at this painting and to see, oh yeah, I see you put a big red arcs like, no. Understand? No. I'm not expecting people to see it. I'm talking to you guys because you're artists. But what they do see is little bits of red. And if they were thinking about it, they would go, huh, why are there little bits of red in that? This subconscious visual brain should go, ooh, I don't know, but I like it. See, that's what I'm after. I'm not after people savvying, understanding, grasping what I'm doing. All I care about is that their visual side of their brain goes, ooh, I like it. Okay. And so that's just another example. I'm getting more bold, perhaps more violent, and I'm happy with that line. That word really throws you a curveball if you take it the wrong way, because it's a very happy, energetic would be a better word than violent. But some of you need to. So again, if you haven't seen me start a painting, then watch me do so. I'll be doing it later. This is the next painting I'm going to work on, and likewise, look at red. Now this painting has not had the final edit yet. So again, big red right there. Again, because I knew this painting was going to be cool up here. Red here. Red here. So it's not always red. Don't mistake. Remember, it's opposite. Let me, just so I make the point, it's not about what color it is. The color is always, if I can put it that way, opposite to what I think the final palette is going to be. In this case, when artists use the word, they mean the overall cast, the overall color of the painting. I knew this painting was going to be mostly orange-brown because the room was completely brown. And of course, a warm painting is usually a pleasant experience. So in this case, the underpainting was green, blue-green, and then one shaft of very bright, very intense yellow. So there you go. I've ended up, instead of talking about final glazes on this broadcast, I'm talking about the magic, if you will, of an abstract painting underneath. It's sort of like a toned canvas, but with energy. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Next painting I'm going to be working on is going to be this one, and I might do a broadcast of it. I haven't decided. Again, this particular bride and groom I think they wanted a more portrait-ish view. So that's what I've done here. And I also, with that image, I'm getting better. I did all of that during the reception. I finished the bride and groom. The only part I didn't, well, this is where I left off. The only part that isn't finished is the final edit in the background. I've done some of the final, all this gray stuff here is final edit. That's what I'm going to work on next. And I may bring you in and let you watch, give something good to say. Okay, let me see if there's any other comments that I missed. Hello, Jane. Glazed Violent. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Chill Frost, please upload this stuff. Well, there it is. It's on YouTube now. You can upload it yourself. I am working very intently, focused in a focused manner on beginning to broadcast on Patreon. That will be premium content. You can donate $1 a month or $5 or $10 a month, whatever you want to do. I'll work out the details. And you get to join me for a Thursday night art class, and then very possibly another time during the week when we'll do a painter's critique, where you guys send me your images and we critique them together. Still working on that, working on a lot of things, and looking forward to it. Thanks, you guys, so much for watching, and we'll see. I might be on later again today. Thanks. Bye-bye.